What is up, everybody? I hope you're all good. Another DJ video, unfortunately, for you guys who kind of want MPC and Logic stuff. But today it's not actually doing DJing and mixing, it's to do with needles and cartridges and stuff like that. So let's get into it. So as you know, I've obviously got two turntables, two of the same, well, not actually the same. This is the 6.2 Mark II, and this is just the Mark I. Not too much difference, but I think there might be slightly difference with the torque, but I don't really notice stuff that much, so it's all good. But when I bought this one, this obviously came pre-mounted with, this is the Stanton 500 V3 cartridge with a kind of more updated, like stronger head shell and stuff. Then when I bought this turntable like 2 months later or something, I bought it off eBay, and the guy shipped me with this needle, which is not a Stanton needle or cartridge. I didn't even know, like it's not even that good. And basically you could definitely tell that there was a massive difference between these two, just sound wise and also like tracking wise and everything. So then I went on eBay again and I got this cartridge and needle. This is the Stanton 500, I think, version 1, so this is the version 3, and obviously this one is a lot better than this one, but there are still some differences between these two. So today, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be checking them out. I'm going to do like a sound test, so just my ears, even though I've been listening to them for quite a long time. And then also we're going to jump on Logic and go through like the sound analyzer plugin and see if we can actually see any major differences. I think there will be on this one, but these two are literally just going to be pretty much identical, and really it just depends on what you think. To do this, I'm going to pick out a record that I haven't really played that much, so I've sampled from those. These are all hip hop, so I play those a lot. Well, I've got this Motown section here. I suppose, yeah, I haven't really played that one, so let's use that one. It's quite old, from the, I don't know when it says, it'll say on the label, but I haven't ever played this one before. Alright, so this one has songs from the 70s, and I'm not sure when it was pressed, but no, it doesn't say when it was pressed, but I'm sure it was like maybe in the 90s or something. Here we've got the first one. I'm going to try and get the tracking the same on all of them, and I'm going to put it to, I have kind of two different settings for trackings, and I've got this mark where I remember this is kind of, I think, maybe 3 grams of tracking, where I'm just playing records, maybe for sampling and listening, and then I kind of push it all the way to the front, and I think that's 5 grams of tracking, which is what I do when I'm scratching and queuing up records so that it doesn't skip off as easily. But it does mean it gives a slightly lower sound quality, because obviously it's being pushed into the groove more, not being allowed to like float. I really like this song, Brick House by R.E.C. So let's just get the start up. Alright, and I'm going to leave on the mixer, bass and treble and everything just at 0, because we just want the sound. And I've already gain matched these because this one has a slightly higher output. I'm not sure how many millivolts it is, but I've dialed this one all the way up to 100%. And then this one, if you can kind of imagine this one being at maybe 5 o'clock, this one's at 1 o'clock. So that'll give you an idea. I think maybe it might be like 2 or 3 millivolts higher output. But anyway, they're going to be the same sound, and that's important. Okay, so pretty much there, what I'm looking for is the bass response, trebles, and also like kind of hard, really loud noises. I think there was a tiny bit, more definition in there. It was quite tinny, really, in some parts, but it had a really strong bass and kick and everything, and that's probably just the way it was mixed. Turn that off, because otherwise you'll get a massive noise. Change this over. Then I have to get the tracking on this. Just balance. Yeah, that should be fine. Alright, so if we remember what this one sounded like, then we can play this and compare it. So actually I think there's not too much difference. Obviously it's louder, so I had to turn it down. On this one I feel like, and we might even be able to see it in Logic, I think it's slightly more bassy and less kind of punch in the highs. So I mean, that is kind of what I've been using it for. Sometimes when I want a more bassy sample I use this one, but it's just very subtle. You're probably not going to hear it on the camera because it's not a very good mic. Yeah, so I think this one might have been more angled when it came out to like maybe DJs for bass, and then this one might have been more for like hi-fi. You can't really see any differences between this and the needle because the needle's so small, but trust me, with this one that I'm going to test next, and I hate this one. This is, don't ever buy this one. I don't know what it's called, but you can actually see, probably not on here, but the needle on this one is so much bigger than on these two. So let's switch it over and check it out. I was rocking this one for quite a long time, and that's what kind of got me really annoyed. I mean, that's only just light enough, because this head shell I think is really heavy. I can definitely hear that when you're cooing it up, you can obviously hear the record because it's vibrating, but the vibrations coming off this without any preamps or anything are so much louder. It just almost, you pre-think that it's going to be worse. So yeah, I don't know, let's check this out. I really can't listen to that. Look, the tracking's bad. When I touch the record, it's skipped. But also, the bass, I mean, the bass is still tight because it's a bass guitar, not like a really long note if you're playing hip-hop. But I reckon if we're playing hip-hop, it would probably maybe even shake out the groove sometimes. I don't think it's properly aligned. I don't think the needle fits very well in the cartridge, to be honest, so that's probably not helping. I don't know if you could hear, but it's got the absolute worst mid-frequencies response, so maybe like 8K or something. It just completely wrecks it. Because when you went on that whistle, let me try and find that. See, it sounds like it's almost like scratchy or something, I don't know, but anyway, I don't ever use that one again. I've only kept it. The reason I haven't thrown it in the bin is basically because if I break one of the other needles, then I'm still going to need something to play with till I can get my hands on another one. Let's record all these into Logic, go on the multimeter plugin, and see what's happening. Alright, so what we got here is jumped onto the computer, and I've put through the stereo out an EQ, but that didn't really do much because I thought this graph would happen, but that just shows us where the waveform's hitting. But here is the real deal. This is just the standard multimeter. You go into, if you want to get it, you just go into metering, which is down here, and then multimeter. All of these things in metering is just the individual ones, so correlation and all that is just all merged into one. So I generally put some on master if I'm mixing, but for this one it also just tells you where everything is. So I've put this to hold so we can really see where the peak level is, and straight off the bat when I'm playing this one you can just see that it's obviously got a lot higher output. Let's check it out. I think these two are obviously the best. This one's terrible, but I really want to look between these two to see if there's much more difference, and then just really see how bad this red car is. So let's go with the V1 and just see what's up. We can see that here is pretty much the image. It goes up to pretty much, I think that must be like 18K or something. But the main thing for me was this whistle thing, and it doesn't sound scratchy, it doesn't sound tinny. I think it's a really good sound, and you just got loads of bass response, so even some stuff coming through 16 like here. But I think that might have been like some vibrations, maybe I was walking around a bit, but the main one is around 30, and you can't really hear anything lower than 30, and most speakers can't produce anything lower than 30. So 30 to about 18, 17K is where, it's really, you just want it to go there. So that's all good. Obviously for the peak, if we check the peak again, peaking at 1.6, which is pretty loud, and notice I've put them all just the same level, so these ones are going to be a bit quieter, so I might have to turn that up on the editing. I think this V1, which is the white one over there, yeah, I just think it sounds really good. Let's go to the 500 V3, which is the one I've got on the Mark II. I'm not sure if we're going to get, because I noticed it was a tiny bit less bassy, but still tight, so I don't know if we're going to get quite as low as 30, maybe like 50 here. Alright, so yeah, there we can see it's peaking at 8.9, and I don't know if you saw, but it did go down to 30, nothing at 16, probably that's just recording, but then also, here, it's got actually less in the highs. See, it's literally hitting only a tiny bit at 16, whether this one is actually going up to like 17.5K, so I think this has a kind of more overall sound kind of thing, like they're all quite nicely balanced, and then this one is slightly more tailored to the extremes, so slightly louder bass and treble, less so in the mids, but this is really like overall kind of just solid. Now here is the big problem I had when I was running the red. Just listen to it and you'll see what I mean. Yeah, so you can hear there that this whistle is very, very scratchy, peaking at around -12, 11.9. So yeah, it is considerably quieter than the first one, but you know, maybe only a decibel compared to the third one. But that doesn't really matter too much, as I said. But then, if we look at the graph again, there was literally nothing going on around 16, and I mean, just the main stuff going on with the 62. So 62 to 16 is where you really start to hear bass and treble dropping off. So that is kind of a problem. And just generally overall, it's a terrible sound. 9, 10K. Here you're getting some at 50, but even so, I'd never, when I was rocking it, I was never using that cartridge for sampling, because just big no. There we can see, I don't know what's wrong with that actually. I mean, I'm trying to see stuff. I think maybe it didn't go deep enough into the groove because the thing's a bit big. Maybe it's missing a tiny bit of the diamond on it. I mean, it's slightly out of place. It might not have been touching the groove the whole way. I might try and get a replacement needle just to see if it is the needle that's been worn out or the cartridge, but I can't really be bothered because I'm not ever going to use it again. Yeah, I really don't know what's up with that. I mean, the Stanton 500 cartridges, really good overall sound. I really like them, and really now it's just a question of for sampling. I think they're great. Are they good for like tracking and stuff? I mean, you can do stuff to the tracking, so maybe add a little extra weight, and also instead of doing the 23-degree thing, which is more preferable for sampling to get it touching the grooves, you can just straighten it out like that, and that gives you really good tracking. So I think I might get double cartridges again and use one of them for sampling, so that's probably pre-mounted 23 degrees like that, and then I'm going to switch the other ones to straight so that it doesn't skip. But yeah, hope that gave you some insights into just overall sound quality, hi-fi stuff, and what actually the needle, it does matter what needle you get, and once you've established that this is terrible, when you go into decent cartridges like that, it's all just personal preference. So maybe the V1, you like how it's got bigger bass and stuff, but then maybe this one you like how it's kind of got a nice smooth overall sound. It's just personal preference really, and I can't argue with that. As I said again, hope you kind of learned something, hope you recognise what I'm trying to do. If you're not subscribed, obviously subscribed. I think we just passed the 150, so big thanks for that. Hopefully you've been checking out the Mixdown Monday series. I'm going to be doing quite a lot of those over the next coming weeks, just trying to get like 10 episodes, the basics down. But yeah, again, thanks for watching, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.